If you or someone you know has diabetes, you may have built up an extra supply of test strips and lancets. That's where we come in. We'll buy the supplies that you don't need and resell them to those in need to prevent waste. Help us make diabetes management more affordable. Visit us at teststripswithaz.com.
All right, we have TJ Laramie joining the program. A couple weeks ago, he picked up his 10th professional win at Prospect Fighting Championships 11 over Paris Stanford. The truth is here on the program for the very first time. How are you, TJ?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Doing great, man. Congratulations on the win. Just 21 years of age, soon to be 22. I believe you turn 22 a week from today, as a matter of fact. Do you feel like, even though you've had quite a bit of success in the sport, that you're now finding that proverbial stride, that groove, so to speak?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm at the point now in my career where I'm getting like a little bit more like into my own game and figuring out my style and stuff a little bit better and finding out what works for me.
Do you remember when you felt like you turned that corner? Was it after this last fight? Was it before that? When did you feel like you started to turn that corner a little bit?
I definitely felt like that long layoff that I had between like my losing the TKO belt and fighting James Dunn in June. I felt like in that time I definitely like grew a lot mentally and was just more. I feel like a lot of the times where I didn't perform well, it was more just me in my own head kind of thing. So I felt like definitely that was the biggest improvement I made.
You've had some ups and some downs. Last year was a really interesting year for you. You went 1-on-1. Of course, the video that went viral of you catching your then girlfriend cheating on you. And at 21 years old, I mean, things like that in life in general can get really hectic, right? Was that just one of the most bizarre years of your life?
Yeah, it was weird. Definitely, just because like it wasn't the fact that I was physically incapable of performing at that point. It was just like mentally I wasn't like ready to be training for a fight or focus on any that, you know what I mean? So it's like I didn't want to be the guy who takes a fight and then say, oh, well, I only lost because I wasn't mentally there. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to be that guy, right? So like I took the time I needed and then and then we got right to it when I was ready.
This is the last question I'm going to ask about this. I watched your interview with James Lynch, and obviously, you know, had I ever had you on the show, I wanted to ask you about this, but do you regret posting that video at the end of the day? Like, you got a lot of popularity, you got a lot of buzz because of that, but hindsight is a crazy thing. If you had to do it over again, would you have done it? Would you do it again?
I don't know if I would have posted it. I probably I don't know. Honestly, it's hard to say because in the moment, it's a little bit of a different feeling, but at the end of the day, I definitely don't feel like it was the right thing to do, but it is what it is at this point. Like, there's nothing I can change about it. It got me some traction in the MMA world, whether it was good or bad, but at the end of the day, I'd much rather be known for my skill set in fighting, so I'm just trying to win fights, you know what I mean, and get back on the map in a positive manner.
How did this wacky world of MMA begin for you? I mean, the stories are very unique to the fighter about how they got into the gym for the first time to pursue this wacky sport. How did it start for you?
So a lot of people think that I've been training since I've been like old enough to walk and stuff like that, but that's not true. I only started training when I was 13. So I started training when I was 13. I was basically always kind of competitive. I was always into school sports growing up. My dad got me into MMA just like as a spectator, like watching it, introduced me to the sport that way. And then like always being interested in sports and athletics and stuff, I wanted to like just try it out. I didn't really think it was going to be anything crazy or anything like that. And then I tried out my first class and I was just like addicted to it. You know what I mean? Like just the progress of trying to get better and trying new things. It was like never ending for me. You know what I mean? Because it's like a sport where it's like, you just can never get better. You can never stop getting better. You can never stop progress, right? So there's always something more to get, right? So that's why this sport, it's just like, for me, it's a lifelong journey, you know? It's going to be something that I have to compete and keep doing for my whole life.
Was MMA something, like, was that, once you found MMA and started falling in love with it, did that become like the only sport you participated in, or did you still do the school sports and try to stay as active in as many sports as possible?
No, actually, because like I started at the beginning, so I did all the grade school sports when I was younger, and then when I got to high school, I just did wrestling because it was like part of the getting better at fighting, right? So I competed in high school wrestling, and that was it. Like once I started MMA, it was 100% that, only that.
So you are 10-3 right now, 2 consecutive wins. Depending on where you look, I mean, there's so many different like lists and rankings. You're either 1 or 2 in terms of where you rank at 145 pounds in Canada. What do you want next? Like, what makes sense to you? Is it fighting in Canada? Is it traveling? You know, fighting in the U.S., taking on some different types of competition? I'm sure the UFC or Bellator is on your radar. A big promotion like that would probably be the top priority. But what do you think makes the most sense for your next move?
Well, at this point, I feel like we're pretty much scheduled to fight December 6th in my hometown in Windsor. It'll more than likely be for a 145 title for the organization I've been fighting for, Prospect. So it'll be a 5-round main event, more than likely. So nothing new for me, though. I've fought 5 rounds twice before. And, at this point, as far as fighting people in Canada, there's, like, pretty limited options, and there's not too many people that'll take the fight. There's a lot of people that say they'll take the fight, but then when you bring it up, something comes up for them or something like that. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm injured, or I'm moving down in weight, or it's just something stupid, right? So we're probably going to be seeking out an opponent in the States, and there's a couple names we got floating around right now that look like they're in. So hopefully I'll be able to announce names soon and be able to start training specifically for an opponent. But that's the most frustrating thing, is finding an opponent at the beginning, because Canada's a limited pool of people that make sense to fight, right? And like I said, a lot of people in Canada don't want to fight me. I've already beaten fought the best guys. So it is what it is. December 6th is the date for now, though, unless something big gets called up in between there.
Is there a fighter? I know you're having a hard time fighting fights in Canada, having Canadian fighters fight you, but is there a fighter in Canada right now, someone that like you absolutely want to fight? Like it'll be almost regrettable if you don't get to fight this person when it's all said and done?
Honestly, the guy I've been trying to fight the most in Canada right now is Tom O'Connor. He's 8-1. I think he's on like 7-fight win streak or something like that. And it's just like he keeps saying he's down to fight, but every time it comes down to trying to connect and get ready for a fight, he hits some stupid excuse like, oh, no, I'm fighting for this belt in this organization. I'm like, man, at this level, that shit don't matter. Let's just fucking book a fight. It don't matter if it's for a belt or what. Like, these belts don't mean shit at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, we're just here trying to get, like, if you want to take the next step, you should fight me. You know what I mean? It's not fighting other people. And then it's just all this, it's just stupid. You know what I mean? Like, an excuse like that, oh, I'm fighting for this, I'm trying to defend this belt or fight for this belt. It's just like, man, for one, you haven't done it yet. So, like, that excuse is kind of getting old. It's been like a year and a half. You haven't done shit. But that's basically the only person in Canada, really, that I could think about fighting. Other than that, I pretty much fought anybody worth fighting for me other than him. So anybody else really is like, I've beaten all of them, majority of them, and then or fought all of them. So in Canada, it's a limited pool of people.
Yeah, for sure. Why? I'm not saying that this gentleman you speak of is trying to pad his record or anything like that, but why do you feel like that's so popular these days? Because, yeah, you want to go in and be like the 10-0, 11-0 guy, but at the end of the day, some of those guys get into the UFC and they get starched in their very first fight because they haven't fought high-level competition. Like, what side are you on? Why do you think this happens now?
Man, honestly, that's a good question, because I honestly don't know. Because, like, I'm out here fighting guys. I'm out here fighting everybody. Like, I ain't turning down fights for no one. You know what I mean? They offer me someone, I say, okay, that's it. Like, it's never been like, look at my record. I've never fought a guy with a losing record. I've never once fought a guy with a losing record my whole career. And you look at some of these guys getting to the UFC, they're fighting guys with sub 500 records or 500 records their whole career. And it's like, yeah, of course, when you get to the UFC, you're gonna have a hard time because you haven't even fought anybody who could fucking throw a punch. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. And it's like I said, my pro debut, I fought a guy with 25 pro fights. He was a 500 record fighter, but that's my pro debut, and I was 17 years old. So it's like, and then after that, it was always guys with plus records. You know what I mean? Plus records. I'm never gonna try to fight. I'm never gonna ask for some scrub. You know what I mean? Like to me personally, I can't even get out of bed in the morning or get motivated to fight someone like that. Personally, I love a challenge. Like I love a little bit to be a little bit nervous. You know what I mean? Like this guy presents some problems for me that make it like exciting for me to go train and get better and make me want to work hard so I don't lose or so I don't get like beaten in whatever area he's good in. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of stuff that motivates me. I don't even understand how these people get like any satisfaction out of fighting the people they do. It's fucking crazy to me. It's really crazy.
When people say that Canada doesn't have the talent pool right now, that there's no stars, there's no faces of Canadian MMA now that GSP is gone, like, what do you say to those people? Because I feel like Canada has a lot of great talent right now, and there's some up-and-comers that can definitely make some noise in the future here. What do you say to those people?
Honestly, I feel like Canada has definitely a great pool of fighters right now. It's just we don't get pushed at the moment like a lot of other guys in the States and stuff like that. But you're starting to see a newer wave of MMA fighters coming up in Canada. Like you got Cole Smith, for example. Like I know he had he lost his last fight. I thought he won, but he's been doing well in the UFC. Tristan Connolly from Canada, who's blown up. He was like fucking like just blew up after one fight. And you got tons of guys, man, in Canada. You got especially people who aren't even in the UFC yet. Like I know like Jamie Siraj is doing really well. Like that's another guy who's coming up probably close to getting the UFC call or something like that. You got my little brother too. The thing is for me though is the only difference I find between like say me and my brother between some of the other guys that I mentioned is age. Like I said, I'm only 21 and I have 13 pro fights and a good record against good guys. You know what I mean? Like not a lot of people can say that at this age, right? So it's about marketability, and I feel like that's one thing I can bring to the table that a lot of the other people don't. Is the fact that I'm young, I'm Canadian, and I'm fighting good guys. You know what I mean? And I have 8 out of 10 of my wins are finishes. So it's like I finish fights too. So it's I feel like in the future, within the next short future, there's gonna be a good push for some Canadian guys. Even Charles Jourdain, who I beat, UFC was trying to push him a lot for his fight. They made a whole post just for Charles Jourdain on their Instagram page and everything, a little highlight reel of him. So like that was a push for Jourdain there. He unfortunately lost, but he didn't do too bad at a heavier weight class too. But that's what I mean. So I feel like it's just the age and the marketability that is what's like slacking in Canadian MMA. But in the near future, I feel like that's going to change.
Yeah, there's some good talent. Like even in the female side of it, there's a girl named Jasmine Jasdavizius who I think could be a really good star. Could be a star in women's MMA. I like this Anthony Romero kid right now. Obviously, you and your brother.
He's good too.
Yeah, there's some good talent in Canada right now. And speaking of that, true or false, by the time the UFC returns to Canada in 2020, you'll either be on that card or already signed with the fight under your belt.
It's like more than likely going to be true at that point. Like I'll be 11-3, possibly 12-3. I'm not sure when they're coming in 2020, but man, I've been talking to people, and like the call before any Canadian card is possible for me at this point. You know what I mean? I feel like especially with another win at 11-3. And then even just look at the guys I've beaten. That's the biggest thing, right? It's like I've beaten guys that are in the UFC. Even one of my losses against Vince Murdoch there, he got signed to the UFC and all that shit happened with him getting whatever. But I beat him too. Even it was a split decision loss, but ask anybody, he was even in his corner that day. I whooped his ass. So that's 2 guys I beat that got signed to the UFC, and I'm fucking way younger than all of them. You know what I mean? So it's like, it is what it is at this point, but you'll see me in the UFC like real soon. It's just a matter of time, man, and it's not a long time.
You mentioned him, so I wanted to ask about this because a lot of people, and I've been here before, a lot of people have enjoyed at times fighting their younger brothers growing up. I am one of those people. My little brother was such a pain in the ass, used to get me in trouble all the time, so we would have our little skirmishes and such. Eventually, we have to grow up, but we don't really get to do that anymore. You, however, do get to do that. Your younger brother, Tony, is part of your team. You guys have fought on the same card many, many times. What is that like, being side by side with your little brother, and being able to throw hands with him from time to time?
Yeah, it's good to train with each other, but a lot of times we don't like actually get like sparring or something like that. Like we might drill or something, but like it doesn't really benefit me too much to spar someone as small as him, and it doesn't really benefit him as much to spar someone as big as me, right? Because we're 2 weight class difference right now, so we definitely get our work in and our drills and stuff in, and it's nice to have someone who's also training for a fight like around you and stuff too. But for the most part, we don't really spar or anything like that too much, like here and there occasionally, but for the most part, it's just drilling and stuff like that.
So it's nothing like the Lozon brothers who've had those like legendary battles over the years at backyard barbecues and in the gym. There's no hidden Laramie battles anywhere.
We fought like maybe for real one time. That was about it.
That's good. That's good. That's better than most brothers can say. Yeah, he's doing well too. He's won his last 2 fights, right?
Yeah, he's on a 2-fight win streak, both knockouts too, and yeah, he's someone that he took 2 like losses early in his career. It is what it is. Like if you're gonna fight those guys again, he just dumb him anyway. So you know what I mean. So like I'm sure, like looking for those rematches in the future will probably be something that they look for from my brother too, because Tony can beat those guys on his worst day now. You know what I mean? Like he was just whatever happened during those fights was like it wasn't nothing. It was nothing. It wasn't a skill disadvantage. It was nothing like that. It was all personal shit. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. When you're over that, you can see him. He's on a streak now. He just beat Darren Mima, who's fought tons of great guys. Only got to knock him out in like 20 fights. So like my brother hits hard. You know what I mean? So he's going to be a problem for 125 at the highest level.
Keep a lookout for the Laramie brothers. Of course, we got TJ Laramie on the show coming off a win not too long ago. He'll be back in action December 6th. Opponent TBD at this point. And we're excited for that for Prospect Fighting Championships. TJ, I appreciate the time, man. Before we let you go, let the folks know where they can find and follow you on the web, social media, anything else you want to get off your chest, shout-outs or anything like that. The floor is yours.
Yeah, for sure. You guys can follow me on Twitter at LaramieTJ, LaramieTJ. Or on Instagram at TJ Laramie, same spelling, just backwards. And then, yeah, so I keep everybody up to date on those. I use them pretty frequently, and you can find all my updates on there.
DJ, appreciate the time, man. Great having you on for the first time. Look forward to doing it again before you fight December 6th.
For sure, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.